Hello, friends, and welcome back to TechBlog 66. Today, we are diving into a gripping British prison thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. The movie we are reviewing is The Escapist, released in 2008. Directed by Rupert Wyatt and starring Brian Cox, yes, the legendary actor Brian Cox, this film is a tense, character-driven story about survival, loyalty, and the desperate desire for freedom. If you enjoy psychological thrillers with emotional depth and intense performances, then stay with me, because this movie offers much more than just a simple prison break story. Let us begin with a brief, spoiler-free overview. The Escapist follows the story of Frank Perry, played brilliantly by Brian Cox. Frank is a lifer in a high-security prison in England. He is a man of few words, respected and feared by fellow inmates. He has survived in prison by following a strict code and staying away from unnecessary trouble. However, everything changes when he receives heartbreaking news about his estranged daughter. That moment becomes the emotional spark that drives the entire film. Frank decides he must escape. Not just for himself, but to see his daughter one last time. And so begins a dangerous and carefully planned prison break. But this is not your typical action-packed escape movie filled with explosions and flashy stunts. Instead, the film focuses on tension, realism, and psychological drama. It builds suspense slowly and steadily, drawing you into the claustrophobic world of prison life. One of the strongest aspects of The Escapist is its atmosphere. The prison setting feels raw and authentic. The lighting is dim and shadowy, which adds to the mood of hopelessness and confinement. The camera work is often handheld, giving the film a gritty, documentary-like feel. You truly feel trapped inside those cold prison walls. Rupert Wyatt's direction is sharp and controlled. He does not rush the story. Instead, he allows the tension to simmer. The pacing is deliberate, which makes every small action feel significant. Every glance, every whispered conversation, every footstep in the dark corridor feels loaded with meaning. Now let us talk about performances. Brian Cox delivers an outstanding performance as Frank Perry. His portrayal is subtle yet powerful. He does not rely on loud emotions or dramatic speeches. Instead, he communicates through silence, body language, and intense eye contact. You can see the pain, regret, and determination in his face. It is a masterclass in restrained acting. The supporting cast also deserves recognition. Actors like Joseph Fiennes and Dominic Cooper bring depth to their characters. Each inmate involved in the escape plan has a distinct personality and backstory. They are not just background characters. They feel real, flawed, and human. The group dynamic is another highlight of the film. The escape plan requires teamwork, trust, and sacrifice. Watching these men form uneasy alliances adds emotional weight to the story. Trust is fragile in prison, and betrayal is always a possibility. That uncertainty keeps the audience constantly guessing. What makes The Escapist unique compared to other prison films is its narrative structure. The film does not tell the story in a straightforward, linear way. Instead, it moves back and forth between different timelines. At first, this might seem confusing, but as the story unfolds, everything starts to connect. This creative storytelling technique adds an extra layer of mystery and suspense. The editing is cleverly done. Scenes from the escape are intercut with moments of interrogation and aftermath. This keeps viewers engaged and encourages them to piece together the puzzle. It is a film that respects the intelligence of its audience. Now, let us compare this movie briefly with other famous prison dramas. When we think about prison films, titles like The Shawshank Redemption often come to mind. That film focuses on hope and long-term survival. On the other hand, The Escapist is darker, more intense, and more immediate. It is less about hope in a broad sense and more about one man's urgent mission. Similarly, compared to Escape from Alcatraz, which emphasizes procedural planning, The Escapist leans heavily into emotional motivation and psychological tension. It feels more intimate and personal. Another strong element of the film is its sound design. There is no overuse of dramatic music. Instead, the sounds of clanging metal doors, distant shouts, echoing footsteps, and dripping water create a constant sense of unease. Silence is used effectively, making certain moments incredibly tense. The film also explores deeper themes. At its core, The Escapist is about redemption. Frank is not portrayed as a hero in the traditional sense. He has committed serious crimes in his past. However, the movie does not glorify violence or criminal behavior. Instead, it shows the emotional cost of choices. It explores guilt, regret, and the longing for connection. Fatherhood is another central theme. Frank's desire to see his daughter gives the story its emotional foundation. Without this motivation, the escape would feel empty. But because of that personal stake, every risk he takes feels meaningful. The film also touches on the harsh reality of prison life. It shows how power structures work inside prison walls. There are gang leaders, corrupt systems, and constant threats. The tension between inmates is believable and grounded. However, this is a monetization-safe review, so I will not go into graphic details. Let me just say that the film portrays prison life in a realistic and serious manner, without sensationalism. Now, let us talk about pacing. Some viewers might find the film slow in the beginning. But that slow build is intentional. It allows us to understand Frank's world before the escape begins. And once the plan is in motion, the tension rises steadily. The final act is particularly gripping, with twists that make you rethink everything you have seen. Yes, there is a twist. And it is one of the most talked about aspects of the film. I will not reveal it here, but I will say that it adds emotional depth and makes the movie memorable. Cinematography also deserves praise. The use of shadows and tight framing reinforces the feeling of confinement. The prison corridors feel narrow and suffocating. The color palette is muted, dominated by grays and cold tones, which visually reflect the bleak environment. Even though the film is set mostly in one location, it never feels visually boring. Clever camera angles and dynamic editing keep the visuals engaging. Let us also appreciate the writing. The dialogue is sharp and realistic. There are no unnecessary speeches. Conversations feel natural, often short and tense. This minimalistic approach strengthens the film's authenticity. Now, who should watch this movie? If you are a fan of psychological thrillers, character-driven dramas, or prison escape stories, this film is definitely worth your time. It may not be as famous as some Hollywood blockbusters, but it delivers a powerful and intense cinematic experience. However, if you prefer light-hearted entertainment or fast-paced action from the very first minute, this might not be your style. The Escapist requires patience and attention. From a technical standpoint, the film is impressive, especially considering it was made with a relatively modest budget. Rupert Wyatt later went on to direct bigger projects, but this film shows his talent for building tension and handling complex narratives. Let us rate the movie. Storyline, 8 out of 10. Performances, 9 out of 10. Direction, 8.5 out of 10. Cinematography, 8 out of 10. Overall entertainment value, 8.5 out of 10. In conclusion, The Escapist is a gripping, emotionally charged prison thriller that stands out because of its strong performances, intelligent storytelling, and powerful atmosphere. Brian Cox delivers a remarkable performance that anchors the film. Rupert Wyatt's direction keeps the tension tight and the audience engaged. It is not just about escaping prison. It is about confronting the past, seeking redemption, and holding on to hope in the darkest of places. If you enjoyed this review, please like, share, and subscribe to TechBlog 66 for more in-depth, monetization-safe movie reviews. Let me know in the comments what movie you would like me to review next. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next vlog. This movie is available on YouTube free.